I always felt alone growing up, and I always felt like I was by myself. Everything I did growing up, I had to learn the hard way. I had to make a lot of mistakes, and I needed Jessie to have everything because I didn't have any of that growing up. I used to take loans out to the point I was in thousands of dollars worth of debt. When I spent money on things, it filled that void for a moment. But then I'd always slip back into feeling alone. Because I had so much debt, I wasn't able to get my own car. So I walked everywhere. We didn't do anything as a family. I hardly spent any time at home. My life was like a routine. Through holiday periods and Christmas periods, I was doing midnight shifts. I ended up in a really hard time of my life where I fell into really deep depression. Like, who am I? What am I meant to be doing? Why am I even here? And it got to the point where I tried to commit suicide and I gave Jessie up to my mum. I guess the only thing that kept me going was being Jessie's mum. Right from the phone call that I made to Cap, the only word that comes to my mind is I felt loved. I wasn't judged. They looked at me first and then we talked about my money and my debt. They wanted to know about me. The CAP workers really care about each person. They gave me tools to budget my money wisely. They taught me a lot about savings as well. I started to listen and I wanted help. Clint invited me to a CAP camp in Rotorua, and when he invited me, I suffered from a lot of anxiety and self-doubt. I walked in with no worth. I actually sorted out a plan of how I could leave. And I was waiting in the kitchen and Katie and Millie came and talked about God's love. I realized for the first time in my life that I wasn't alone. And I just remember sitting there and I remember my heart racing. They just looked at me and I said, I want that. She was like, you can have it. And I was like, no, I really want that. Like everything that you guys are talking about, I want that. I want that. And that's when Katie said, well, you can have it. And I was like, well, what do I have to do to get it? And she was like, well, it's free. And I was like, let's do it. And I gave my heart to Jesus that night. I started questioning God. One of the first questions that I asked him was, show me who I am. From the time I asked that question, he kept showing me this mountain. I hated nature. I hated getting dirty. I hated anything to do with nature. And I was like, yeah, I'm not climbing that mountain. One day I went through a really hard time and was like, okay, I'll climb that mountain. So I climbed Mount Tauhara. And you know when you climb a mountain and it really hurts your muscles? Well, he said to me, release all your hurt, like the hurt in your muscles. So as I was climbing Mount Tauhara, I started saying all these things that made me angry, and I released them right to the top. When I got to the top, I had this overwhelming feeling of God say to me, you did make it, and you can make it again, and you can make it again. Katie said, you're free, you're debt-free. And it took me a day to realize I was debt-free, and then I was really excited. I started making goals about saving money and for my future. The more I came out in nature, it reminds me of God's creation and how beautiful it is and how beautiful He is and just how much He thinks of me. Like every time I'm out here, God shows me something different about myself. If I didn't find CAP and I didn't give my heart to Jesus, I probably wouldn't be here. Ko roa pehu te maunga, ko whanganui te awa, ko Aotea te waka, ko Ātihonui a Paparangi te iwi. My name is Gemma 4. 4 years ago, I was really lost, but now I'm found.